Namaskar. For many years I wanted to talk about this topic. It is called aggressive spirituality. When I first heard this term, aggressive spirituality, I was very perplexed. I couldn't reconcile these two things. Spirituality, general idea of spirituality is to seek peace, to seek harmony, and then aggressiveness. Aggressiveness is about fight, struggle, and forceful pushing ahead. So I couldn't fit these two things together. It was just like fire and water. They wouldn't fuse. But later on, I understood the meaning, the essence, and I would like to I don't know how much I am, but I would like to be an aggressive spiritualist. So what is that aggressive spirituality? It's very interesting, very, very interesting. Tantra is the fundamental spiritual system, spiritual practice. It is based on the practice. It's a practical cult. And out of practice, 99% practice, out of practice comes philosophy. So Tantra was born very, 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 very long time ago, over 7,000 years ago. And there were many modifications of Tantra. There was a Shiva Tantra, post-Shiva Tantra, Buddhist Tantra, Jain Tantra, Tantra of Puranic period, and many modifications, many approaches, and many classifications. So one classification is that Tantra has like 3 dimensions. One dimension is called Vammamarga, the left path. Another dimension is Dakshina Marga, the right path. And another one is Madhyama Marga, the middle path. So Dakshina Marga, the right path, is like in politics. The left ideas, the right ideas. So in Tantra also. And it's a very, very, very different approaches. Very different approaches. So the Dakshina Marga is to seek peace, to seek harmony. Seek harmony with the environment. Seek harmony within yourself. But this approach, it has some results. It is based on rituals, attempts to pacify the influence of the stars, different kind of ritualistic actions. And the idea is that there is a great Prakriti, the force of nature. And that Prakriti's job is to keep us bound to a certain shape of body and to the certain shape of mind and consciousness. So that great Prakriti is our master, is our Lord. So whatever Prakriti does, we are just like, we have to follow, we have to obey, because everything means this atom, this carbon atom is what? Is the vibration of consciousness. The consciousness vibrates according to the influence of Prakriti, of the nature. So the idea of the Dakshina Margis is that we have to pacify this great force of nature, and she will let us develop, and she will let us be free. The same idea, the slave may have the same idea, that if I behave myself properly, and I do good job, then maybe my master will release me and make me free. But generally it doesn't work, because the master doesn't have an intention to let the slave go free. he might appoint him a give a better job. He might even make him a supervisor over the other slaves. But the freedom is not going to be attained in this way. So recognizing that, Vamamargis, they say no, the freedom will never come in this way. If you want to achieve freedom, you have to struggle, you have to fight. You have to fight with your very nature. And that nature binds you to the limitation of mind and consciousness. And you want to do what? You want to transcend those limitations. And how I will transcend? I will do meditation with intense longing for the Supreme Consciousness, for the Supreme Status. I will try to elevate my mind. And the nature will do what? The nature will disturb me through so many different thoughts. Internally, externally someone will come to disturb also. But I will fight, I will struggle. I will try and I will overcome. So that is the idea. In our practice, these two approaches actually represented. Therefore, we are Madhyama Marga, the middle path. There is a place for harmony and seeking peace. And there is a place for aggressive spirituality. There is a practice which is called Avarta Kirtan. You sing in 6 directions, and when you rotate clockwise, in the right way, from left to right. And that practice is to pacify the nature, to come in tune with the nature. And then there is another practice called Akhanda Kirtana, and people are walking around in a circle, around the center, counterclockwise, in the left direction. And sometimes people ask, the people, they have so many superstitions and fears. They're like, we have read somewhere, sometime, that the right way is good, is harmonious, but if you go to the left, it's a kind of almost like a satanic way. No, it is the way of uncoiling the sleeping divinity within us. There is a Kundalini Shakti within, coiled in 3.5 coils. And then when we do this, it signifies like we are moving, everything in the universe moves, at least in the northern hemisphere, moves like this. If you look like this and you look like that, the direction of course different, but everything moves clockwise. We are accustomed to that. And now you are moving counterclockwise. You are moving against the nature. You are overpowering the nature, overcoming the nature. That's the idea. And then these two practices, you do the Akhanda Kirtan, overcome, transcend, fight with the Tamaguna, Rajaguna, Sattva-guna, transcend, and then after you have transcended, then you have to come in peace. Like you fight with your master, okay, you fight, then make some peace, okay? For today, ceasefire, all right? Then next day again fight, then again ceasefire, then again fight, then again ceasefire. So that's how it works. Like we are bound by nature, but nature has so many faces. There is avidya maya, the force of ignorance, and there is vidya maya, the force of knowledge. So you forsake avidya maya, and then you adopt vidya maya. Little by little, you cannot completely come out of the laws of nature, but you can overcome the crude laws and come under the subtle, and then fight like this, and then finally become free. So this is called Madhyama Marga. And then also the defects. The Dakshina Marga never brings much result. I mean, it can bring the prosperity in life, it can bring some peace in life, but still there is no freedom, there is no security. You are still the slave of the nature. And then the Vama Marga, no doubt, it brings the mastery, the lordship over the nature. But then, if there is no clear goal, which is often the case, there is no clear goal, there is just I want to be free. The freedom is the goal. But then when you achieve a certain amount of freedom, there is a temptation to utilize that freedom. So the desire comes to lord over the nature, to use the acquired power according to your sweet will. And when you use that, you create karma, you create samskara, and you became again bound by the laws of nature. And you have to undergo the requitals of your actions before you can be free from the nature. You have to burn karma again. So there has to be a middle path, and middle path, the essence of the middle path is that your goal is love and freedom. You are moving towards the cosmic entity, to supreme consciousness, and that is your value, that is your treasure. And when you achieve a certain amount of freedom, you have no temptation to misuse it, because your goal was not that. Your goal was to be closer and closer to the Supreme. Your goal was to feel greater and greater love, greater bond with the Supreme. So the middle path is advisable. But it is very deeply rooted in the aggressive spirituality. What is that fight is going on? What is that fight? That struggle, the essence of life. You know, when you're struggling, you are living. When you stop struggling, you're also not living anymore. The body is living, but there is no light in the soul. So struggle is really the taste and essence of life. And Tantra is to prosper in the adversity. The situation is adverse, but you still prosper. Nobody understands how this man is prospering, how he's blossoming. And that's how it works actually. The more opposition, the more prosperity comes, the more opening comes. So there is, Tantra is thriving in the adverse circumstances. So what is this struggle? One struggle is going inside, is the struggle for the elevation of energy. There are natural forces binding us: lust, anger, greed, jealousy, attachment, pride. So those tendencies, they create very crude vibrations in the mind, binding the mind towards the crude shape. The mind is not subtle, is unable to feel the greatness of the existence. And then there are external forces: fear, shame, doubt, hatred, complexes of the cultural heritage, complexes of your ancestry, the vanity, the hypocrisy. These are the external forces. And Tantra is the fight in two directions. One, you fight and make your minds subtler, and it is a fight. It is a fight. You sit in meditation. It's not like somebody is going to make a red carpet for you. Okay, please, sir, you are going to meditate. Oh wow! Now we're all going to praise you and put some the petals of the roses over your head. It's not going to happen like this. Rather, it will be opposite. You start to meditate, and then everybody is laughing at you, and everybody is accusing you of something, and then the situation is like the adversity is created, and you collect yourself, you concentrate yourself, you focus yourself, your energy to push through that, and as a result you prosper. Every challenge brings about an opportunity and a development of consciousness and greater prosperity. That is internal. And then external. External is the fight for justice in the society. It is the fight for the weak, for the disgruntled. That is the fight. To establish an equipoise and equilibrium between all beings on this planet. That is the external fight, and it is very much with the fear, because you are afraid. And then the peaceful spirituality will never help. How can it help? There has to be a fighter to establish peace. There cannot be just a mixed spiritualist. He cannot establish peace. But to be that kind of fighter, you have to burn the fire within yourself. Feel that strength, that faith within. So that is very, it's like when you achieve that kind of status, you enter into, which is called Virabhav. Virabhava is the heroic state. The first state, when you start to practice your sadhana, it is called Pashubhav, means animalistic state. Animal seeking for comfort, that's all. That's the prime objective. But once you awaken yourself, spiritually awaken yourself, then internally you have this urge to become free, and externally you also have that urge to become free and also make others free. So from that is Virabhava is born. Virabhava is the heroic state of mind. And when you maintain that Virabhava for some time, then you become Divyachar. Divyachar means the divine path. You have become strong divine being. It is said that all problems are created by the animalistic consciousness in the human frame. All problems are endured by the human consciousness in the human frame, by the heroic that consciousness human. And then all problems are solved by the divine consciousness in the human frame. I would like to say also a few words about peace. I love peace. I want peace. Above all things. I don't want happiness so much or pleasure. I just want peace. That's what I deeply want. I know in my soul I want peace. And everybody is like that, actually. It is the human psychology. We want deep, unbroken peace. And there are two kinds of peace. One is called dark peace, peace of darkness. Another one is called white peace. The dark peace is the black peace, is when there is a situation in the society, in yourself, in your life, and you somehow adjust to that situation and you find a way to exist without struggle. And even sometimes you're able to find that. But still, you exist under the tyranny. And then there is a white peace. White peace comes as a result of fighting with the forces disturbing peace. So what kind of peace do we want? Do you want the peace where the animals rule supreme, the demons rule supreme, and we just somehow adjust and find our little peace there? Or we want the peace where the spirituality rules supreme, the rationality, the subtleness rules supreme. And for that kind of peace, there has to be a lot of struggle to be done. There has to be a lot of struggle. And the world wants those kind of peaceful fighters, those people who awaken the spiritual thirst within themselves, and those people who are ready to serve the society. One friend of mine, no, I should say better, one teacher, he surprised me one day. He came to the stage, there was gathering maybe 200 people. He gave namaskar like this, and then he said, as his introduction was like this, he said, "My name is such and such, I'm an Avadhuta, and I'm the king of this world." And everybody was like, what is he talking about? And I appreciated so deeply. I thought, wow, this man, he understood something. He really understood. This is like the proactivity maximitis. You believe, I am the king of this world. This earth is mine. So whatever happens here is my responsibility. And I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to fix it. It is not like somebody has to fix it and I am going away from the Himalayan mountains to do my meditation to seek for peace. That is not honest. That is not fair. The world is just like a boiling pot of consciousness, evolution. And then the world was able to give birth to you, an enlightened being, awakened being, the person who has awakened from the slumber of the material existence. And then you say, okay, mother, bye-bye, I'm going to the Himalayan mountains to meditate. You were awakened for something. You woke up. At least you take some water and go give the water to others. This is my grandmother, she was telling me the story. They were sick with, I don't remember what is the name, but it was a very heavy kind of disease. So the entire family got sick, almost like a pandemic situation. So the entire family is just lying there. Somebody on the bed, somebody on the floor, somebody on the bench, and just like, And then everyone, the entire family is sick. So nobody is there to take care, nobody is there to give food or water, because nobody is able to. And then she said that all of a sudden somebody feels better. It's like, oh, okay, I have some strength. And then he goes, drinks some water, and then gives the water to everyone. And then again, oh, I cannot. And then goes again to the sick state. So that is, I feel, is very much like this. You awaken your desire for spirituality, your desire for the movement, for freedom, for liberty, for the liberation awakens in you. Then you have to go and give some food, some water to others, because they're like this, cannot do anything, paralyzed with the condition that Prakriti has imposed on them, binding them to the body and mind, to that kind of shape of body and mind. So you give the water of love, of spirituality to those people around. And that is aggressive spirituality. That is to be aggressive spiritualist, is to internally always fight to elevate the consciousness. Fight with your inner nature, overcome it, transcend it. And then at the same time in the external world to constantly do service. Service to the world, thinking that this world is mine. This is very important thing. People don't feel this way. They feel themselves as nothing, as pawns, not as the creator of this universe, of this world. But we have to feel this way. I'm the king of this world, and I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make it right. I'm going to make it good. So that is the idea. That's why I adore aggressive spiritualists, and I met only very few such people. There are much more people tending towards seeking that kind of peace, that dark peace, and there are very few people determined to acquire the white peace, and we need them very much. We need them very much. Okay, I think, I hope this topic was interesting for you, and there were many ideas. It was just many ideas scattered. You can watch it several times actually, and still you will find some more and more meanings. And then it will be interesting to discuss with you in the comments what you think about it. Maybe you think that, Dada, are you out of your mind? Some people have told me this. They said, are you out of your mind? I was telling them I'm going to fix the world. And it's like, are you out of your mind? I don't know how much I can do, but I think we should try. We should all try. I'm seeking for this kind of people. I feel that they are my flesh and blood, that the person just thinks like me. This is my world, and I'm going to fix it. So I want to come together with this kind of people, stand together, move together, and more people like this, gravitating to each other. And I think this is a great force. Okay, write what you think in the comments. Namaskar.